Hello everybody, welcome back to the breakdown. I'm Tone and it is fantastic to have you joining me for yet another video on precious metals. Today I'm going to be doing a reaction video without playing any audio or actual video, but a reaction video to a video that I watched by New Silver Stacker. If you haven't already subscribed to his channel, this is a shout out for him. Please go and join his channel. He's been offering up some pretty good advice. And this video is predominantly about the things that he covered in his video about 3 reasons to not stack silver. I just wanted to discuss some of those points and to offer a little bit of my own insight into it. I know that he's been stacking for a little under a year, I think. I've been doing this for over a decade, so this is by no means what's the right word? A rebuttal of anything that he said. It's probably adding a little bit of information and giving a little bit of different insight into what he discussed on there, because he's made some really good points, and then there's some other stuff that I think can do with some clarification. So NSS, I hope you don't mind that I'm discussing this stuff on a video, and I hope that you especially do learn something. Some of your subscribers may learn something if you can point them this way to hear what I've got to say about things. We're all about learning, and we're all about doing the best that we can and sharing our knowledge. So first point that I'm going to speak directly to you, brother. The first point you made, you said that if you have a lot of debt, you probably want to steer away from stacking until you've got the debt under control. You made reference to, several $1,000s. I'm assuming you kind of mean like a credit card or something like that. And if it's a credit card, I do agree with you. I think that would be a fantastic idea. Make sure that you've got those little debts that have got huge interest. We're talking 20%, 25%, those ridiculously high interest rate devices, financial devices. You want to be clearing those debts. I 100% agree with you. Where I think some clarification could be beneficial is, and I'm speaking from experience. So around the time that I started stacking, I also purchased a home. I still have not paid off that home completely. That is, a large debt. So I'm comparing here several $1,000s credit card debt or a car loan or something like that that's got stupidly high interest rates. And I'm talking about a home loan that's $100,000 plus in debt. Now, if I was to say that I was going to focus on, if I was going to say that I was going to focus on clearing my debts prior to especially buying gold, silver, probably not so much, only because other than the premiums, as I've discussed in my previous videos on this topic, silver has done next to nothing in 10 years. So whereas gold has doubled, or well and truly doubled in that 10 years in Australian dollar terms. Again, I'm looking at it from an Australian perspective because that's what I have to buy my stuff in. But my point is, if I had have not bought gold in particular, but even silver, because the premiums have crept up over the years and makes it just that little bit less affordable, and you get a little bit less bang for your buck, even though the price of silver has stayed pretty stable. It's had its fluctuations, but it's averaged out. I wouldn't have any stack that I do have now, and I'd still have debt. Whereas I've got debt, and I do have a sizable stack now after 10 years. And that actually, even though I say precious metals are not an investment, unless you're talking about it in a term of an investment for your future, being a hedge against inflation, and a hedge against the complete collapse of fiat currency itself, then, you know, I wouldn't have this security, and I'd still have a huge debt, which I possibly wouldn't be able to pay off. If the collapse came, my debt doesn't increase. The interest rates might, although, in a collapse, everything just locks up anyway. But the banks would probably still want the debt paid. In a catastrophe kind of scenario like that, gold goes stupid, silver goes even more berserk, and I could sell some of my stack to take the pressure off of the debt that I still have. So this is kind of that awkward situation where precious metals do impact on investment, because when you've bought a house and you've got a debt on that house, that is an investment, a property investment. So in that fact, this is kind of impacting on the investment world. So my point being, if your debt is a smaller debt but a stupidly high interest rate, you want to be clearing that as fast as you can. 100% agree. If it's a larger debt like a home loan and those types of things, and you're not renting and you've actually bought the home, then especially even now, the interest rates aren't quite as high as what they were when I bought my home 10 years ago. You want to be focusing on hedging your bets. You want to be moving forward with your life. You want to be managing your funds as best as you can. Again, this is not financial advice. This is what I've been doing. So when I say you, I kind of mean me, right? But you want to be managing yourself so that you are stacking, you are managing your debts, but you're not doing either of them to any extent that encumbers the other one. You want to be making sure that you're doing this. This is super important. And you also want to be making sure that you're paying off the debts that you have, the larger debts that you have, and servicing those debts a little bit more than the minimum payments, if you certainly can, of course, but not at the detriment of preparing yourself in this way, because this is the hedge against the financial war that we are up against. We didn't start the war. We're certainly in it anyway. So that is the point that I'd like to make for your first point. Second point, you don't want to get into silver if you're wanting to make quick money. I certainly agree with that. When I first got into silver, as I shared in a previous video, I went, all in, and I had kilograms and kilograms of pamp silver. And that was fine. And I made a loss on that because I did pull my money out, because at the same time, I was a share investor. I mean, I still am, but I started off in shares and, stocks before I got into stacking, but not by much. And I went into silver thinking that, because that was all I had at the start, I went into silver pretty hardcore, thinking, hey, this is going to go crazy. The financial system is done, and of course, we know the Federal Reserve. Whoa, they came in and they did all this extra currency creation, and now it brings us to the crisis we're in now. But I went in thinking about trying to make quick money. I do agree with you. This is a long-term investment, all of them. Gold is the true hedge against inflation. I'm going to have to do a video on that later to sort of really delve into that topic because gold is still actually undervalued. Silver even more so, but gold, I mean, what is it? $1,700 US an ounce is ridiculous compared to what it was back in 2011, 2012, um, when, we didn't have even anywhere near the currency flow that we've now got in the system, thanks to the Fed and other central banks. So, but gold is most definitely the hedge against inflation. Silver, because of its industrial stuff and the smaller market share that it has, and because of the manipulation that does occur in the silver market, excuse me, I'll just grab a drink. the silver market is most definitely manipulated because it's a much smaller market, and hence we see that the price of silver has stayed flat on sort of average over time, and gold has gone up. But that's not to say that when gold goes up, $20, and let's say, or even a bit more than that. Let's just say gold goes up 1%, silver goes bang 3%, 4%. It's a lot more volatile. So the potential to make more money, I've used the wrong word, for the potential to make a greater return on currency realization by holding silver is a much greater chance than for gold, because gold's already done it and silver's got some catching up to do. I believe gold's going to go bang even higher. The ratio between the two is going to get stretched, and then like an elastic band, a rubber band, silver's going to catch up in a very, very big way. But a lot of things have to happen before that. And if gold and silver were actually priced as they should be even now, that would be proof that we would be heading down the path that we really, the world would be a very different place. But having said that, this is just in case, we know what's going on, and this is our preparation kind of thing. I know I'm getting a little serious because in my previous video I did say we want to be making some fun out of our stacking. We want to enjoy it. But it is very serious why we do it and why we should do it. Now, yes, you made a point about $50 silver, and everybody goes, oh yeah, it's gonna shoot up and everything like that, and then it doesn't, and then everyone gets disappointed. And we've got to keep our expectations realistic. They were talking about $100 silver in 2011, 2012. That got me excited. So you are 100% correct with that. We've got to keep that expectation reined in. We need to understand that. What else did I say? Yes, just going to point out also that, yes, the gold and silver ratio has stretched out a lot, and that proves that gold is the hedge and silver is much less a hedge against inflation. But let's just understand this also. Because silver hasn't made its move yet, gold has continued to trend up. Silver has got spike and then crash and then spike and then crash and then remained reasonably flat over time. Silver then obviously looks like the more attractive longer term play, because can you really see gold tracking all the way back down to meet up the ratio with silver? Or do you see silver going whoosh to catch up with gold? So that's the point. But silver's not really a hedge yet, but it's the play, it's the longer term play. But you can invest in silver if you were an investor. Just don't expect that it's going to occur in 5 minutes. Right, point 3. You don't know enough. Now, I got into silver and gold. I didn't know a huge amount of it amount about it when I got into it, but I am very, very glad that I started when I did. I learnt some lessons, and I'm happy to share those because they were hard lessons, something that I could absorb, but something that, someone with a little less financial power might not necessarily be able to absorb. And I want everybody to win in this. So my advice, obviously, or my suggestions, and telling you what I've been up against and how I've handled it over time, which is what all these videos are about, is to help you avoid making those same mistakes. So I do agree with you that if you don't know much, you'll want to be doing your research. That's 100% correct. And that's in any form of financial investment, financial hedge, or any purchase in general. You want to be doing your research first. That said, if you're going to start stacking would probably be best in the generic realm. You don't want to be doing numismatics, and if you don't know what you're doing, you want to be getting into generic silver coins and gold. None of this limited edition kind of stuff that you see here. But I would, sort of jumping back to point one, if you've got debt, you still want to be starting the process. You don't want to go overboard, but you want to be starting the process. If you've got any sort of interest in it, just get your toes in the water, and most importantly, get a good friendship or relationship going on with a good, trustworthy bullion dealer. That is something that I benefit greatly from, and it helps with your buying and selling of precious metals, because you've got a buyer if you do need to sell. But you want to be managing it so that you don't get in a pinch and need to sell. Like you were saying, NSS, when you said that you panic sold because you needed to clear debts. You don't want to get into that position for sure. So I hear you and 100% agree. What was I going to say? The thing that the simple things to this point is to understand. Gold is the hedge. Silver is tied to gold, kind of. It's much more easily manipulated, so it kind of gets tricky. And, they know how to play the game. So they make sure that they're getting people to sell their physical back. But you need to understand, everyone needs to understand, that the real silver price and what you can actually buy silver for, there's a huge gap there. And so no one's buying silver for the actual silver price, really. I certainly can't. If you know someone that can help me out with being able to get it at the actual price, you send them my way. I'd love to be able to get my hands on some silver and gold for spot price. What I was going to say... silver is a more aggressive play. That's the point. It's more volatile, so therefore it's a far more aggressive play within the hedge against inflation kind of idea. But as I've already pointed out, it isn't, because you can get silver pretty close to what you could get it for 10 years ago. So inflation has gone stupidly high. We've got so much more currency in existence in the last decade, and yet silver priced pretty much the same. Gold has gone up. So gold is the hedge. Silver is not so much, but like I said, it's a stretched elastic band. It's going to catch up to gold rather than gold fall back down to silver. Silver is certainly going to have its day. Don't you worry about that. All right. Point 4. You said it was going to be 3. You did have a bonus in there, and you say don't buy if you're an emotional trader. Well, I think I would probably say you don't want to be buying anything. You don't want to be buying stocks. You don't want to be buying precious metals. You don't want to be buying a house. You don't want to be buying anything like that if you're an emotional trader. You need to get the emotions in check. So 100% agree with you on that relating to precious metals, but across the board, if you're an emotional trader, it's not a good idea. But let's clarify that just a little bit more. We understand, hopefully by now, that silver and gold are a savings account, as you've pointed out also. 100% agree with you with that on that. It's a savings account with the potential to actually preserve your wealth, rather than just a savings account in the bank where it's constantly being eroded while it sits in there and the bank just uses it. And it's really not yours. It's not your currency. You are a unsecured creditor of banks if you have currency in there. That's important to remember. And I'll maybe cover a little bit on banks at some point, which will make you understand and make everyone else understand also exactly why we need to be having this. And you probably already know, but yes, the currency in the bank isn't yours. You've signed it over. They pay you a mediocre amount of interest and say, there you go, Bob's your uncle. But I want to just point out that if someone was watching this video of mine and they are at this point an emotional trader, they are at this point emotional kind of impulse buyer type, you can use what you learn about precious metals as a training tool. You can learn to forego the extra coffee. Well, some might shoot me for that. um, let's say maybe not your coffee. Other things that you could probably do without. Start pulling back on those things and having that extra currency and going and having a regular purchase, whatever the price is, just a regular purchase of silver in particular first. If you've got a little bit more, gunpowder dry, then, go for a little bit of gold. But you can use this as a tool to learn how to save. And because you hold it in your hands, you see it, you're hopefully less likely to want to go to sell it in order to spend it on another impulse buy. And over time, I do believe that anyone that's in that kind of position now will learn how to save more. I think you've pointed out that you've learned how to save more just by learning about silver and gold, NSS. So I believe other people watching this video and watching your videos, they'll likely do the same thing, be able to use this method as a tool on increasing their savings and decreasing their impulse purchases on things that, essentially we could say is rather wasteful. And the reason I pointed out buying whatever the price is. So to a degree, if the price pulls right back, you can buy a little bit more. If the price is sort of going up, you reduce how much you're getting, but you're continuing to get a little bit and keeping a little bit of financial powder dry. And then when the price drops again, you increase that amount of purchase that you probably would have got before, but you've got a bit of a strategy going. You called it dollar cost averaging. That's basically what it is. And over time, you've bought a little bit less on the higher side, a little bit more on the lower side. The average is sort of a little bit more to the lower side, but you're continuing to have a habit put in place where you're putting a little bit of something away all the time in something that is going to retain its value relative to the devaluing currency, whichever country you find yourself in. Because make no mistake, all currencies are going down. well, they don't have any intrinsic value. We've already covered that in a previous video here, but they're going down in realized value relative to, well, gold's the gold standard to be able to prove the point. So that's basically it. That's what I wanted to share. Thank you again, NSS, for your content. This is just my attempt to add a little bit more to what you were talking about. I know this is a little bit of a long video, but yeah, I just thought that it might be helpful. Now, as I've been doing with my previous videos, as you can see, I open up a box for each video. As promised in my previous video, I said that I would bring out the silver TARDIS coin for Doctor Who from 2013. So let's do that now. Here's the box. It's I think this is the only one I've actually had open. I've got quite a few of them actually. Just have to go off screen here for a second to take it out. Got to do it nice and gently. So here's the each of the 1 ounce silver coins came with a TARDIS, and I think originally they were supposed to make a sound, but I'm pretty sure I took the batteries out of this one. But yeah, they got like a couple of batteries in there. It's supposed to light up here at the top, and but anyway, so there's the. Let's just take it out again. Coins with plastic capsules. Don't worry about wearing gloves. This is for the newbies. If you're watching this video, don't worry about gloves for the capsules, unless you're really a stickler for not wanting to get marks on it. And this is found it interesting. This is a $2. Normally, silver coins are $1. Like silver 1 ounces, usually $1, not $2, unless you've got the Canadian Mint maples. Well, they're $5. So, but as promised, here's a nice sticky beak at the 1 ounce silver TARDIS 2013 release. This was for the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who, as is the gold one over here. This is the silver version. They made 250 of the 1 ounce gold, and they made 10,000 of these silver beauties here, and each was packaged in its very own special TARDIS case. You can find them on eBay. They've sort of gone up in price compared to what they were back in the day, but not as much as what I thought they might. But I've still made more than I would have if I'd have bought just a generic round of silver. Anyway, so that's the TARDIS. I'll probably just lay it down like this for now. But that's it. Everybody, thank you for joining me on the breakdown once again to talk about a very, very important topic, precious metals. Once again, a shout out to New Silver Stacker. Please, if you're watching this video and you haven't already subscribed to his channel, I think it would be fantastic to do that. He's got a great passion for what he's doing, and he's bringing good information, and I think a great asset to the silver and gold stacking community. So please go and subscribe to his channel. He does some giveaways and that sort of thing. His channel's got over 2,000 subscribers now, so it's grown pretty fast, and yep, good on you, NSS. And if you are watching this video and you haven't already subscribed to this channel, I'd appreciate it. If you did, if you liked this video, please leave a like. I'd love to hear in the comments any kind of feedback on what I've covered that was slightly different to NSS, or that whether you agree with what we've both said or disagree. This is why we are here. We have these discussions, and we're not always going to agree on everything. But the beauty is, if you come to any of these things with an open mind, you're going to learn something. That's all. Thank you for joining me on the breakdown. That's about it. And yeah, may God bless you and your families. And I'll see you in the next videos. Thank you for joining me, and bye for now.